So one deployed and one to go. Let's see, get rid of these. We'll keep that open. And I'm over here. I'm going to go into authentication. And it's going to be kind of the same procedure as before, but what you may want to do ahead of time is comment out in your role controller, comment out the to authorize data attributes because you're going to need to add administrator, manager, and user. And you aren't going to be able to do that if these are not commented out. So make sure you comment those out. And then we're going to right click and go into publish. And as you can see, I have done this before. So let me delete my old one. And actually, if you do this and you mess up, you saw how easy it was to delete. So you're going to want to delete it and start over. What's a little weird about these procedures, at least the ones that were the easiest to get working, is that we're actually going to publish to Azure App Service for Linux because it works really well. So let's click on Start here. And Azure is what we're going to pick. Going to click on Next, and we're going to choose Azure App Service Linux. And click on Next. It's going to want you to be logged in. And we need to create a new Azure App Service. And again, you can change the name. I'm just going to call this Playgroup Web App Authentication. We'll just make it a nice, unique name. So then, as you can see, it's got a resource group there, which I'm going to change that. And you can click on New. You can actually make it whatever you want. Remember, if you click on New, you can enter it here. For hosting plan, I am just going to double check here. All right, I don't have free. I'm just going to pick the absolute smallest. And location, I'm just going to keep it on what it was and click OK. All right, just kind of double checking this, and I'm going to hit create. And it is working. Okay, so it does have my little app selected here. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on finish. And so you will see that it has the same information it did last time, but we are not ready to publish because we have to configure our database. So we're going to click on configure. And we're going to keep Azure SQL database. We're going to click on next. And then we have to click on Create a SQL database. And what it does is it just kind of pulls in kind of a default name, and you do not have to keep that name. Okay, you can if you want, but you do not have to. So I'm going to call mine playgroup database. And a database server is required. And so the administrator username. So you guys are going to have to figure out what you want to use. I mean, you could use admin or, a version of your name, whatever. Um, and then you're going to do your password, and you will see it fills it in. And you're going to then click on Create. I'm going to pause while it does this. Eventually, it's going to come back to the previous screen. Some of this takes a while. Okay, so that actually took quite a while, but here it is. And so I'm going to go ahead and it should be selected. I'm going to click on Next. And this screen, the database connection string name should be default connection. I believe all of you have changed that in your term projects, and that is what we have in this particular project as well. You need a username and a password. And it should be different than what you set up for the administrator. And let's see, then we're going to click on Finish. Okay, so I'm going to close this. And we are not quite done yet. I need to click on Edit here and go into Settings. So this is actually pretty slick because we can tell it to do the entity framework migrations and to apply our context files when we publish. So as soon as this comes back, if we expand out on databases, we want it to use this connection string at runtime because that is our production connection string. And then if we expand out this, scroll down, you'll notice it's got both of our context files. So we want to use both of those because one is for our registration system, and then the other one is all of our all of our other tables in our database. So we're going to save this. Okay, and at this point, we are ready to publish. So I'm going to pause. Well, maybe it's going to get going here. This usually takes a little while. I'm going to pause here. All right, so it has come back, indicating that it has succeeded. And here it is. And you should be able to go right into parents. This is accessing the database. Upcoming events you should be able to see, and home. The rest you're not going to be able to see until you log in. And we lost our roles. So if you go to register, you aren't going to have those roles listed. So what you need to do is key in /role/create. And you have to create those roles. And now that you have the roles, then you can go ahead and register. And probably want to make yourself an administrator. And then you should have access to everything once you log in. Oops. I've done this way too many times. All righty. And now I have access to everything. So what I need you guys to do is copy the URL, paste it into the Dropbox, and then once I have reviewed everything, you are definitely going to want to come in here and kind of get rid of all of your apps. Okay, so to get rid of them, you will come in and you will delete them. And you'll have to delete the apps and the database. Okay, that's after I've corrected them. So your database, you can find in here. You can see I've got a couple of them. And so to delete a database, basically you just select it, hit delete, and then you do the database name and hit delete. So this one obviously is one of the ones I am not using. And you can see up here it's working on it. But you're going to want to delete everything after I have corrected it. Okay, so wait until I correct it. If you create this and you flip me an email, then I will know to go out and correct it right away. Okay, so you are going to want to do the In the Bag app with no database and this one with the database. And the procedure that we used for this one, the play group, is the same procedure you're going to have to use for your term project.